Practice this one thing to effectively change your life. And that one thing is shifting your perspective. If you start creating a practice of shifting your perspective, you will create a much better life for yourself. And I will explain why in this video. But firstly, understand that nothing in life has any built-in meaning. Everything is neutral. It is you who gives things meaning. So a situation may happen in your life that you have a negative perspective on, and you've given it a negative meaning. But you have the power within you to change the meaning from a negative one to a positive one, which will shift your perspective. Now, you can use what's called the reframe technique. So you look at something that's a negative event that's happened in your life. This could be from your past, and then you could revisit that negative event, look for the lesson. How did this serve me? What did I learn from it? Boom, you give it a positive perspective. Well, it taught me this. I got this out of it. So you have a positive perspective instead of a negative one. And that is a great way to be able to let go of the negative events that happen into our life by revisiting them and by changing the meaning that we give them. Because in all the negative situations that we experience, it's the negative situations that are trying to teach us the lessons so that our soul can grow and evolve. You don't learn lessons from the good times, from the positive experiences. So when you understand that about the negative experiences that has happened in your life, you realize that they're actually serving you in some type of way because it's trying to teach you something. That gives you that perspective shift. You can look at it from a negative to a positive, and it's going to really affect your life in a powerful way. And I'm going to explain to you now why it works. Now, the reason this works so effectively is because your perspective on things affects your vibrational frequency. So your body is a molecular structure that puts off a vibration. The vibration that your body's putting off determines what you will attract back into your reality. So if you put off a negative vibration, a vibration of I'm a poor little victim, bad things always happen to me, by the laws of the universe, you will attract more situations in where you're going to be a victim that has bad things happen to them. So when you revisit these negative situations, you give it a positive meaning, you shift your perspective. It also shifts your vibrational frequency. It shifts your emotional state. You shift it from a negative emotional state to a positive emotional state. When you realize this negative situation served you and you can give it a positive meaning, you're able to let it go and release it. And so because it changes your emotional state, this is really important because your emotions communicate to your subconscious. Feelings are the language of the subconscious mind. So if you're always having negative emotions and you're constantly telling yourself stories of like bad things always happening to you and you're this victim that's communicating to your subconscious mind is what creates your reality. 95% of the outer reality comes from your subconscious. So if you start creating a practice where you're shifting your perspective on things, and you shift it from a negative to a positive, it shifts your emotional state, it shifts your vibrational frequency to going from negative to positive, then you're able to influence your subconscious mind with positivity. It's something that's really simple, like a simple practice that will be really effective because, like I said, it's going to shift your vibrational frequency. So you can use this as a way to look back at your negative situations from your past as a way to heal from them. But it doesn't just have to be stuff from the past. You can use it in your day-to-day life now. You can use it as with like small things that have happened, or you can use it on much bigger things. So for example, your landlord might say to you that you need to move out because you're selling the house. You may think, oh God, now I've got to look for a house and like I have to move, like you're giving it a negative meaning. Instead, you could be like, oh, well, it's an end of an era. It's going to be a new chapter for me. I can find a new place to live, new energy in the house. It's like leveling up your life. You know, you can give it that positive meaning. So you can use this with everything that's happening in your life. Now, I'm going to share some of my examples with you on how I've reframed and shifted my perspective on some negative situations that happened to me. So here are my examples. The first one was I broke my back when I was 19. I didn't find out until I was 25, and then I had to have a spinal fusion surgery. At the time, it was like being young and having a fucked back sucks, you know? It's like, dang. But at the same time, I didn't allow myself to be this victim that's having this negative situation. I could have had a negative mindset of being like, oh, poor me, I fucked my back when I was so young and now I can't work, I have to be on disability. And I could have allowed myself to be in this little victim mindset and be all depressed about it, right? Instead, I give it a positive meaning, a positive perspective. It's like, yeah, okay, it sucked that I broke my back as a young person, but it got me out of the work, eat, sleep cycle. I can't work anymore. Oh, well, I'm at home. I've been able to focus on myself, like leveling myself up, focusing on my hobbies, my skills, what I enjoy doing. You know, I had a spiritual awakening, so I realized my whole back situation contributed to me having a spiritual awakening, which has now put me on this path of starting up an online business, starting up a YouTube channel. I wouldn't be here making this video if I didn't break my back. So you see what I mean? It's like you can give these things positive meanings, positive perspectives, you know, on these negative situations instead of being this little poor victim. Another example of mine was, you know, having a difficult childhood. I had a difficult childhood compared to my siblings. And as a kid growing up, I noticed, I was like, why does life seem so much harder for me than them? Why does it seem like I have more problems and more things, like negative things going on than them? And it used to bother me as a kid, but now that I'm older, I understand that that difficult childhood played a part in me having a spiritual awakening. And I feel blessed having a spiritual awakening, like waking up to the truth about what we really are and how this reality works. So even though I had a difficult childhood, I can see that it served me. I have this positive perspective. Rather than having a negative perspective like, poor me, that shouldn't have happened, this shouldn't have happened, and being a victim that's all depressed about it, you know, you see it from that positive perspective instead. And a third example of mine that I will give you is I learned through doing shadow work that I had a abandonment wound, and I actually had multiple abandonment wounds from childhood. And now I've become aware of the wound, I've learned to heal it and release it, but I can actually see how that served me in a positive way. So yeah, it was annoying having this abandonment wound that created a lot of problems in my life and problems within my relationships with people. However, having an abandonment wound taught me to be an independent person. It taught me to not need people, and it taught me to rely on myself instead of relying on everyone else. And because I've learned to be an independent person that can rely on myself, it means that I can be picky with relationships and friendships because I'm not needy for people, you know, so I can be more picky about who I have around me. So that's a positive perspective for having an abandonment wound. So I encourage you to start creating this practice of shifting your perspective. Stop focusing on the negative and find the positive. Shift it, because like I said, it's going to shift your vibrational frequency. It's going to shift your emotional state. And if you're constantly shifting yourself out of negativity and into positivity, that is going to lead you to create an amazing life for yourself, because you are the creator of your reality. Your mind and your body together is creating your reality, your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs. So start up this practice, keep getting yourself into these positive states, these positive perspectives, so that you can create a positive reality. I hope you like this video, guys. If you got some sort of value out of it, let me know by hitting that like button or write a comment. If you like this sort of content, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification. I'm going to drop a video here that will teach you some tips and tools that you can use when you're feeling negative. I think that's a really great video to follow up to this, because sometimes we do have, negative emotions and we are in negative states. But I've learned that knowing how to deal with the negative emotions is the key. So check that video out and have an awesome day. Peace.